Metro team. I'll be our facilitator tonight. My primary responsibility is to ensure that information is communicated well, that you all have a chance to understand the information that's being presented, and to ensure the safety of the people in the room. I want to first encourage that we do have presentation materials this evening, and I would invite you to come a little bit closer if you want to come up to the tables that we have available to you. It's going to be hard to see if you're sitting way in the back, some of the imagery. So please, if you'd like at this time to come on up. Before I go much further, I wanted to acknowledge our elected officials who joined us today. We've got Julio Torres from our office, Council Member Jose Guizar's office. We've got Pedro Ramirez from CD number 1 Field Rep. And we also have the office of Councilman Gil Cedillo here with us this evening. We've got a packet of information that you picked up when you walked in. A lot of information this evening, so we hope that by going through it the way we will, you'll be able to absorb it. We've got also some briefing sheets and environmental documentation phase overview, and then for tonight's session we've got an overview of our ground rules, how the meeting agenda is going to go. So again, if you want to take a look at that so that you can follow along, that'd be great. So the primary purpose of our session this evening is to provide an update on the overall progress of the State Route 710 North study for those of you who may be new to the study, as well as those who have been veterans. How many veterans do I have tonight? People that have been to more than 1 or 2 meetings, maybe 3, 4, there you go. Okay, good. So then the bulk of you tonight are some newbies, some people who might not be familiar with the information. We're happy that you joined us tonight. We're hoping that we can explain some of the background of the process so that you'll get that in our presentation this evening. We've got a video followed by about a 30-minute overview presentation. And you've got that presentation in your packet, so you can follow along if you'd like. So really the purpose tonight is threefold. It's to provide an update on the overall progress. We're also bringing forward this evening the alternatives and some refinements to those alternatives. These are new refinements. Some of you may not have seen these before, so we want to bring those forward. These are the items that are going to be currently under study as part of the draft EIR. And our third primary purpose is to capture observations and comments regarding those alternatives and those refinements. Our session is going to last about 2 hours. And let me just give you the quick rundown on the agenda. You've got that in your packet. If you take a look, it says today's program. And in just a minute, once I finish with my remarks, we're going to first turn to the informational video that was shown several months ago. I'm sure you've seen it, but for those of you, and many of you are new, it'll give you some up-to-date information that you might not have seen before. Following that, we'll have 30 minutes. This is item number 4 on the agenda. We'll have 30 minutes of presentations by the technical study team. They're going to go through several aspects in terms of the process, in terms of the environmental review, and some of the alternatives and the refinements to those alternatives. And then we're going to have an opportunity for issues and observations done through a comment card process. When you walked into your packets, you also received a comment card. During the course of the presentation, we invite you to be making notes, thinking about what you're hearing, and identify any of those issues, observations, or comments that you might want us to try to address this evening. You can see that on that comment card, there are a series of categories. These categories have come from the information that we've been receiving by virtue of all the meetings that have been held in the communities by our outreach team. So these aren't necessarily prescriptive, they're just to give you an idea of what some of the categories that are surfacing so far. You can see that there is on the right-hand side an other, and you're invited to check that. But during that period of time, after the presentations, I'm going to give you about 5 minutes just to kind of capture your number one, what you think the most significant observation or the most significant issue might be. And you're going to check that box and give us a little detail there. You're then going to pass that into your table monitors. We'll have table monitors that can help us. And we're going to try to do a quick sort and identify what are some of those real poignant themes that seem to be popping up. We can't address all of them this evening. All the cards that we do receive will be given to the technical team, much like we've done in the past, and that's really how we've gotten to some of the refinements on the alternatives that you'll be seeing tonight. So we will use this and document it so that we have it and the technical team can use it. After that 30 minutes of going through some of those cards, we'll then reserve some time, about 15 or 20 minutes, depending where we are in the process, and I will walk around to the tables and ask if anybody would like to spend 1 minute addressing another comment, another issue, or another observation. There won't be any responses to those. We will capture those through word processing and typing those up, but we will have them. But we want to be sure that we provide that opportunity in case those of you would like to share something orally, verbally. We'll have about 15 or 20 minutes for that, and then we'll wrap up, and we will close at 8 o'clock. We've got a contractual obligation with the church, so we will end at 8 o'clock so we can break down and be out in our prescribed time. Tonight we've got Kelly, who is our graphic recorder. She's going to be capturing the ideas, the concerns, the comments, both with words and in images, so that she'll be crafting that on the side here. We'll have that as a part of our formal record of our session today. So there are a couple of ground rules. As I mentioned, as a facilitator, I've got certain responsibilities to this group. I want to be sure that we're all on the same page. Tonight, this is not a public hearing. You also have these. These are on your handout. This is not a public hearing, so tonight we're not taking any formal public testimony. We will have public hearings upon the completion of the draft EIR, EIS, that will be sometime in the spring of 2014. This is required by law. We hope that tonight your comments, your observations, your questions can pertain to the information that's presented this evening. All the comments that we collect tonight in the cards as well as orally will be considered by the study team. Mentioned that we'll end 2 hours from 6 o'clock. I would always ask that we respect each other's concerns, issues, and observations. Anybody disrupting opportunities for people to participate in a meaningful way, whether it's verbally or somehow invading other people's privacy, then we will ask those people to stop and to step outside. Any person who is videotaping this evening, we're asking that you do stay to my left, your right of this black line. We're doing this for a couple reasons. One, we want to be sure that people aren't getting run over if they happen to be sitting down and somebody comes up with a camera. We don't want to imperil anybody's life with a camera injury. We also will have, during the part of our comment card process, our staff will be moving through the group, needing to be able to freely move through the group. So I would ask, if you're going to videotape, please stay in that area that we've demarcated over there. Also, again, when we do the public comments, I'd ask that you limit those comments to 1 minute. We will have a timer, and we'd ask, in the interest of everybody having a chance who would like to, in our 15 or 20 minutes, to make a comment, that you limit yourself to 1 minute. I'll hold the mic when I walk around, and I'll give you that minute start time, and I'll hold it for you, and you can go ahead and address the group. And again, ideally, that will pertain to the information that's presented. I think it doesn't have to be stated, but we are asking that we follow these ground rules. Again, they're for the benefit of a lot of new people who are brand new to the process, who are trying to understand what's happening. So let's be sure that we abide by those rules. Okay, so I think what I'd like to do right now is just invite my technical team presenters to take their positions at the table. Here we go. Today we've got Yoga Chandran from CH2M Hill. He's our project manager. Tom Mayana, who's the engineering lead from CH2M Hill. And then I think we have Debbie today. We have Debbie Priscillo, also with LSA Associates, our environmental lead. Before we begin our panel presentation, if you will, we're going to run the quick intro video. If you can't hear it in the back, please give me a wave. We'll be certain to bring it up a little bit louder. And I think we're ready to begin the video. Go through a 30-minute PowerPoint presentation. You all have copies of that, so if my lovely little shadow continues to get worse, please be sure that you consult that document. Yep, you've got a copy of it, so you can follow along. And as you go, if there's something that jumps out at you, please use your comment sheet so that you can keep up with those comments. I'll give you time at the end to do that. As we go through the presentation, I'm going to ask that we hold our comments, hold our questions. This is really a lot of information, and I want them to get through it. And so let's hold those while we attempt to block the shade issue. You just got to come this way. Come. Yes, not tall enough. All right, we have our handout, so we'll have to use that by and large to make sure that we can go through that. At the conclusion of their presentation, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to, again, just to organize your thoughts, fill out your card. Our table monitors that have been assigned to your tables, they're going to come by, they're going to grab those and bring them up to the front. We're going to do a quick card sort so we can see what some of the most significant themes are, and then I will read through the sort card, top card, and ask our technical team to address some of these issues that have been raised by on your comment cards themselves. I also, again, am going to take this opportunity to invite you to come closer so that you can see perhaps and hear maybe a little bit better. If you're in the back and you're happy in the back, that's fine. But if you want to come up, we've got table spaces over here. You're welcome to come a little bit closer. Now, as you know, when we get into the comment period, when we're actually collecting your comment cards, we're in the middle of this study, as you know, and working on the draft EIR. So we may not have specific replies or answers to all the questions. Some of that is going to have to come out of the actual EIR, EIS when it's released in the spring of 2014. We'll have a chance when that document is released to have more public, formal testimony around those specific results and those findings of the document. Today, we're again just trying to collect information directly responding to the presentation that our technical team is going to provide. Okay, so with that, let me invite my team to go ahead and start kick in. Here we go. Much better, guys. And ladies. Sorry? Yeah. These guys. Do you have a clicker, Yoga? Good, perfect. Don't move. Great. Okay. So, Yoga, you've got a clicker, and let's see if we can move through this in our 30 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Can you hear me?
Here we go.
All right. I'm going to take the next 30 minutes, as Jim said, is to give you an update on the study. We met a number of you in March at the open houses, and since then we've gone through refinements. And give you a quick update today. We're going to continue to be in the process for the next several months. The presentation today is, we'll quickly go through the process in terms of where we are and walk you through the update on the alternatives and give you an update on where we are on the environmental studies as well. This chart over here indicates what we've done over the last almost 2 years, starting with the scoping meetings in spring of 2011. As you saw in the video, we went through 3 levels of screening, taking into consideration all the feedback we received, not only the scoping meetings, the open houses we had during the alternative analysis phase, and at the conclusion of the alternative analysis phase in December, we did identify 5 alternatives that we have taken further into the environmental document. So right now we are in the process of conducting studies leading into the preparation of the draft environmental document, which is expected to be released in spring of 2014, which will be released for a public review. We'll have public hearings as part of that release to hear your comments and feedback, and taking that into consideration, we will go into the preparation of the final environmental document, selecting at the end of it will be the preferred alternative, which will address the purpose and need for the study. And that final document is expected to be ready in summer of 2015. The purpose and need, this is what drives the study. Seen this before, it's in our alternative analysis report. I'm going to read this so I don't miss the words that's in the statement. The purpose of the proposed action is to effectively and efficiently accommodate regional and local north-south travel demands in the study area of the western San Gabriel Valley and east-northeast Los Angeles, including the following consideration. Improve the efficiency of the existing regional freeway and transit network, reduce congestion on local arterials adversely affected due to the accommodating regional traffic volumes, and minimize environmental impacts related to mobile sources. And the study area that was referred to is shown on this diagram over here. This is bounded to the east by 605, by the 210 freeway to the north, State Route 2 and Interstate 5 to the west, and Interstate 10 to the south. The alternatives that were selected at the end of the study phase or the alternative analysis phase are no bill. I think that was described in the video. Transportation system management, transportation demand management, bus rapid transit. And some of the refinements you're going to see discussed today is we've included to the bus rapid transit the TSM TDM component as well as the bus feeder service. The purpose is to improve the network connectivity and also improve the performance to enhance the ridership of the bus rapid service. Similarly, the light rail transit, we did the same thought process for the light rail, is combine the TSM TDM and added the bus feeder service to connect the light rail trunk line or the main line to the system and connectivity within the study area. The final alternative is freeway tunnel, and we are looking at 3 operational variations as part of this, and this is also a result of some of the feedback that we've heard in our stakeholder meetings during the last phase of the study. The freeway, which is a no toll option, would be a 12-bore tunnel based on the demand. We also included the freeway. Of course, the no toll option will include TSM and TDM added to it, and freeway with tolls, including the TSM TDM. We are looking at 2 variations for that. One, the dual-bore option, and also a single-bore. And this will depend on the outcome of a traffic modeling that's currently ongoing, and the demand will dictate which would be governed at the toll scenario. And the third variation is a freeway with TSM TDM and running an express bus through the tunnel, and this is a result of the feedback that in general you want to see a multimodal alternatives and not just a single mode. And the 3 alternatives, bus rapid, the light rail, and the freeway tunnel, all have a multimodal concept or components to it. So the purpose is to try to encourage different modes of transportation as part of the study. And for the freeway tunnel, we also considering run trucks through it as well as without trucks. And I think again, that's listening to the feedback we got. We want to see what would happen if there are no trucks inside the tunnel. The goal of the alternative design or the refinement that we've gone through is to improve mobility and reduce congestion. That's the primary purpose and need for us. And some of the improvements that we are focused on is to optimize the performance of each alternative we have. We're trying to make everything work the best possible way. And hopefully you'll see that today to see what we've done with related to the performance of each of the alternatives, while giving due consideration to the right-of-way and the environmental impact. Goal is to minimize or reduce as much of the impact associated with the right-of-way and the environmental impacts as well. Give some consideration to cost, something that we heard throughout the meetings and from the community. And also minimize the impact of the community as well. So giving all this consideration in the refinement process, and we are at the stage right now is to combining all of these elements. And when you're trying to do this process, it's an iterative process. So one of the primary drivers for the alternatives analysis and the refinements is the traffic. And because this is the transportation need, the congestion, that information is fed into the preliminary engineering and the environmental studies, and it goes through an iterative process trying to feel what is the impact and what can we do to minimize impact while we're trying to optimize the performance and address the purpose and need while taking into consideration the feedback we receive from the stakeholders. So one of the things I wanted to stress upon today is that this process, we started 6 to 7 months ago. It's going to continue on for several months until we reach the point we are going to release the draft environmental document. And the goal for all of us in our study team is to make sure that we give you the best alternative that performs to the fullest of each of the alternatives we have, while giving consideration to the environmental impact and the right-of-way. With that, I'm going to hand this over to Tom Mayanta to give you a brief update on the alternative analysis.
And before Tom does that, again, I know a lot of you have just joined us. You're welcome to come up. We've got plenty of space up here. If you can see back there and you're fine, no worries. But we'd love for you to come up a little bit closer. That way you might be able to see the graphics a little bit better. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Yoga. Let's take a look at the alternatives update. Part of the alternatives is the no-build alternative. This alternative includes all the planned improvements contained in the 2012 SCAG Regional Transportation Plan. It provides the baseline against which all the other build alternatives are compared. So the build alternatives, as we've been developing our preliminary engineering, the goal of all the alternatives are to improve performance from the AA phase. During this phase of the work, we've been meeting with the cities and stakeholders. We've been refining the alternatives to minimize impacts and optimize performance. We've been developing preliminary engineering plans. We've been collecting data for the technical studies, and that's the interaction between the engineering, the environmental, and the traffic that Yoga spoke about. And we're preparing the draft project report for Caltrans and the draft preliminary engineering report for the transit alternatives for Metro. Let's start with the TSM-TDM alternative. We've been collecting a lot of traffic data. We've done a lot of field counts. We've also gone in the field and done field observations to verify the existing deficiencies and the need for improvements. And we'll continue to refine the elements of the TSM-TDM alternative as we go forward. So the TSM-TDM alternative has 4 major components. The first on your upper left are local street and intersection improvements. These are physical improvements to the existing street system. Currently, we have 27 intersection improvements, 9 local street improvements. We're also going to modify the Fair Oaks and 110 interchange. We're going to extend St. John from Del Mar to California, and we're going to provide a connection from Valley to Mission. A second component of the TSM is transit refinement, so this is also multimodal. And we are going to provide increased service on the existing lines during the peak periods. The active transportation component is pedestrian and bike facility enhancements to support the access to these transit facilities. And we've been coordinating with the local agencies. Finally, the fourth component of the TSM-TDM is things like signal synchronization, signal optimization, and transit signal priority. It's interesting that you're going to hear these 4 components, how they're going to be incorporated into the other build alternatives as I go forward. So for the BRT alternative, we want to improve the speed, reliability, comfort, and convenience for the BRT trunk and spine line. This is really premium service. It's more like a rail-like service, providing that rapid bus system. We want to improve access and connectivity to the regional transit system. I'll touch about that in a moment. We want to reduce potential effects to on-street parking. We've met with the cities along the corridor, along the BRT line. A very sensitive issue to them is losing parking, the sensitivity to the local businesses. And we want to improve the quality of the BRT station, so we want to make it an attractive system, one that people would like to use and feel comfortable with as well. So the BRT alternative, again, we're making these refinements. On your right here, you can see the basic alignment for the BRT. It starts down at the Whittier Boulevard at the 720 line, and then it travels north up Atlantic. It hits Huntington Drive. The little circles you see are all bus stops for the BRT. They're at major activity centers, commercials, colleges, retail centers along the line, up Fair Oaks. And then it makes a right on Del Mar and does a loop in downtown Pasadena by Caltech and Pasadena City College. We're also developing typical station concepts, and we're also exploring new fare collection technologies that are really offline, off the bus, so that people can get on the bus quicker and get to their seat. The BRT alternative is a multimodal concept. Those enhancements that were made to these feeder bus services for the TSM are also incorporated into the BRT. So we don't only have a high-performing BRT line, but we also have these components to feed to it, so to make it more comprehensive. Again, the TSM TDM enhancements are the bus services, the active transportation, the ITS, local street and intersection improvements. So that's all being overlaid and included in the BRT alternative. For the LRT, we're continuing preliminary engineering, the design of the structures and the tunnel, developing the fire life safety, ventilation, and false crossing details. And also, we're going to identify this feeder service. It's the same as the BRT. Really south to Riverside and Orange County Metro League lines, east and south through San Gabriel Valley and the El Monte bus station, west to North Hollywood, north to the JPL, and the El Sol shuttle to ELAC. So we're making this not only the LRT alternative, but all these feeder lines to the LRT. So the LRT alignment, it starts down the East LA Civic Center station on the Gold Line, just across the street on Mendick Avenue and 3rd Street. It's in an aerial alignment as it goes north on Mendick. It turns on Floral, crosses Corporate Center Drive here, and then it enters into the into the 710 right-of-way. We have a stop at Cal State LA, and that's close to the El Monte line. There, it's still overhead, and then it will start diving down into the median area of the 710, and it will go into a tunnel south of Valley Boulevard. The purple you see is a tunnel boring machine section, so it's completely underground. There's no surface impacts except at the station locations, which are cut and covered, that we have to actually dig down to build the stations. Let's go back just one. The portal's now south of Valley. We've been coordinating with Metro regarding the rail yard at Valley. They've asked us to increase the width of that crossing over Valley for the rail yard to increase the connectivity of the rail yard. We've shifted the approach to Fillmore, and we constructed a median on Mendick within the right-of-way for the LRT columns. Again, the LRT is a multimodal concept. The improvements that were added from the TSM TDM to the BRT is also being added to the LRT alternative. Again, those include the connecting bus service, the active transportation system, ITS, local street and intersection improvements that were part of the TSM TDM. Okay, the final alternative I'll be discussing is a freeway tunnel alternative. We continue the coordinating with the fire marshal, CHP, and first responders. They've had some valuable input into the tunnel geometrics. We continue to develop the tunnel system, the ventilation, in particular fire life safety things, and identify a potential haul destination for the excavated material. The freeway tunnel alternative, look to the graphic to the right. Basically, it's from the south stub of the 710 now where it terminates, and it goes to the north stub of the 710 where it terminates now in Pasadena. So we will continue the alignment to the north. Our portal location where we enter the tunnel is south of Valley. The blue there is a cut and cover tunnel that has to be dug down to build the box structures. The purple, again, is a tunnel, but it's using the tunnel boring machine, so there's no surface impacts. We're completely underground. So we'll travel to the north. We end the tunnel boring machine just north of California. We enter the cut and cover section that's shown in blue, and then the end of the tunnel is just north of Del Mar. And then some improvements in the existing interchange, both at the 134, 210, 710, and down here at the 710 interchanges. So we're developing the walls, bridges, the drainage, tunnel design. Also, we've been coordinating with the power companies. The power needs both for the TBM during construction and for the ultimate finished condition. We're developing the operations and maintenance building and landscaping concepts. One thing that the first responders in CHP, we are precluding hazardous trucks carrying hazardous material from entering the tunnel. So the CHP wanted us to provide a turnaround area for them basically to intercept a truck that should not be going into the tunnel, and then they can make them turn around. And we're also verifying if access can be provided to St. John Avenue and Pasadena Avenue in the city of Pasadena. We've heard some concerns about the local circulation and access to downtown once the new tunnel is built. So the freeway tunnel, also one of the alternative options is to have the express bus. It is a multimodal concept in the tunnel. Again, all those components from the TSM, TDM alternative, the local street improvements, the ITS, the active transportation, the bus service, those will all be included as part of the freeway tunnel alternative, making it a multimodal alternative. Now, Yoga is going to talk a little bit about the tunnel design considerations.
Thanks, Tom. Before I get into this, I just want to make one quick emphasis. Is, many of the refinement that you saw has been based on a number of dialogues we had with many of the cities within the study area, like City of Monterey Park, City of Alhambra, City of South Pasadena, City of Los Angeles, City of San Gabriel, and so on. So a lot of their input has been taken into consideration in the refinements that we've done, either the BRT or the LRT or the freeway tunnel, and including the TSM TDM. Looking at the tunnel design consideration, one of the key component that goes into the tunnel design, whether it's the LRT tunnel or the freeway tunnel, is the soil conditions, the groundwater condition, the seismicity, and if there is a fault hazard, like a fault crossing, so along with the variability of the soil condition, the strength, whether it's a stable soil or not. And based on the studies we've done, known conditions for both the LRT and the freeway tunnel, the pressurized phase tunnel boring machine is something that works very well under the conditions. And this machine has been used worldwide under similar circumstances, even locally here for the GO line and sewer line, along with some of the major tunnels such as the one in China, Malaysia, Madrid, and is also being used currently for the Alaskan Bay Tunnel. So this is known to be very effective under these conditions, adapting for variable soil conditions. What it offers is phase stability, which results in the very minimal loss of ground or surface settlement, and prevents any groundwater inflows in case the tunnel is below the groundwater condition. The LRT tunnel configuration is a twin bore. The diameter is about 21 feet. It's pretty standard metro design, and it's similar to all the existing tunnels or metro tunnels in Los Angeles. And for the freeway tunnel configuration, as I said earlier, we're looking at two different variations. One is a twin bore, it's about a 60-foot in diameter, and if you go with the single bore for the total scenario, then it will be a single bore. The difference is on the twin bore, the northbound would be on one tunnel, both the top and the bottom. The southbound would be in the second tunnel. If you choose to go with the single bore, the northbound will be at the top, the southbound will be on the bottom level. Number of things that we hear in the community is about the tunnel safety, tunnel system design, and as Tom mentioned earlier, we've been in consultation with the fire marshal, the first responders, and CHP in defining some of the details that goes into the tunnel design, whether it's the LRT tunnel or the freeway tunnel. And what's listed here is some of the key consideration that goes into the fire life safety and system design: lighting, communication, surveillance, ventilation, monitoring, air monitoring inside the tunnel, aid stations, emergency egress, and public address and radio rebroadcast, and variable message signs along the tunnel. And the tunnels would be monitored, for the entire length of the tunnel would be monitored. So we know everything that goes on. And the photographs kind of illustrate some of the elements done in the other tunnels locally in the US as well as around the world. The key design consideration is again something that we pay a lot of attention to, is the ventilation and the fire life safety. In terms of the LRT tunnel, we've defined a system with the exhaust fans and supply fans located at station. This is typically called a push-pull system, and this is the standard way for the light rail transit tunnel, is to, in case of fire or in case something is smoke, how do you clean the air for the safety? The safety of the users has been one of the main considerations that goes into tunnel, whether it's an LRT or the freeway tunnel. And the exhaust duct usually is placed at the station locations in those situations. And the design consideration to freeway tunnel, it's a little different than the LRT. During normal operation, we utilize the flow of the vehicle to act as a ventilation, supplemented by jet fans if we need it. Under emergency, we have a different system that we use to control fire. We'll have a mist system, and one of the things that we are implementing is a 3-level monitoring, which provides a pretty high degree of redundancy in case if you have a smoke incident or a fire, and able to control that pretty rapidly. And this has been proven very effective on the highway tunnel around the world. The designs that we are looking at right now does not have any intermediate stacks. The exhaust will be at either end of the portals, and the emissions at the portals will be scrubbed through, and what comes out of that will be meeting the standards set forth for us. And with that, I'm going to hand this to Debbie to talk on the environmental studies.
Thanks, Yoga. Go on to the first slide. Yoga, in his presentation previously, used the term environmental document. We just wanted to be clear that the environmental document that will be prepared tonight is an environmental impact report, environmental impact statement. These kind of documents have two purposes. One is it's a disclosure document. Its purpose is to disclose to the public the potential beneficial or adverse impacts of any of the alternatives under consideration, whether it's the no-build alternative or any of the build alternatives. It's also a decision-making document. It helps the decision makers identify a preferred alternative for the project. As you can see here, there are many environmental technical studies that go into the EIS. And some of them, as you can see here, for example, there are air quality, health risk, noise, visual, community impacts, to name just a few. And we did want to spend a few minutes to talk about the process that we're currently undertaking as far as development of the technical studies. These are the environmental steps to conduct these studies. The first is where we're at right now, which is preparing the draft technical studies. And I did want to walk through an example of one study, air quality, to give you a flavor of how those studies are going to be compiled and prepared. The first section of those documents is the regulatory setting. Those are all of the regulations, federal and state procedures, policies that apply to the project. And the second section is then the affected environment or the existing setting. The existing setting in particular for air quality will identify the attainment status of the federal and state criteria pollutant standards. Those are for carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, ozone, for example, as well as it will identify the recent monitoring data that comes out of the South Coast Air Quality Management District's monitoring stations within the study area for this project. What we'll then do is we'll begin doing the impact analysis. The impact analysis for air quality studies will utilize the design plans that are developed by the engineering team, as well as the traffic forecasting data that's being prepared by our traffic team. And those two will be utilized in a variety of models to identify both long-term and short-term impacts related to the project. We are using models that follow protocol or procedures identified by US EPA and California Air Resources Board. We are also in consultation with the Caltrans technical folks regarding the air quality analyses. We're using their most recent models, and Caltrans is currently coordinating with US EPA, California Air Resources Board, and CH2M on all of their processes and procedures and protocols. So what will we do with this information? We're then going to identify what are the emissions that are generated by each of the alternatives, the no-build alternative as well as the build alternatives. We'll then be looking at increases or decreases in the emissions of criteria pollutants compared to the existing condition as well as to the no-build or future condition. And as we're going through, if there are any potential adverse effects on air quality resulting from any of the alternatives, we'll begin to identify additional avoidance, minimization, and/or mitigation measures to further reduce any adverse impacts. Yoga talked a little bit about how just the general design of, in particular, the tunnels has already been, we're working to incorporate that into the design as far as air scrubbers and things like that. So what will happen is when we'll finalize our conclusions, a draft report will be submitted to Caltrans for their review. We will go through a review process with Caltrans, and once that is approved, we'll have final technical reports that can ultimately be incorporated into the environmental document. And at that time, when we have final technical reports, we will be providing key findings to the public, so be looking forward to those discussions further next year. There's also additional technical efforts that are underway. I just want to spend a few minutes on those before we move on to schedule our next steps. One is we are doing our community impact assessment, when as part of that we're establishing community profiles. These include land use and demographic information, as well as there is a 1 mile focus area around each of the alternatives to identify key community resources, parks, schools, community centers, places of worship, etc., that are important to the communities. For the Historic Property Survey Report, we are continuing to identify and assess properties as potentially eligible for the National Register for Historic Places. Those would be properties that are adjacent to the alignments of the build alternatives. And also as part of the visual impact assessment, we are identifying key vantage points from public views that will be used to determine visual assessments. And in those key vantage points, we will be taking photographs and providing visual simulations of those locations so folks can get an understanding about what each of the alternatives might look like in the future if it's implemented. We're identifying sensitive receptors for both evaluation and air quality and noise studies. And also as far as the natural environment, we are conducting field surveys for both biological and wetland species so that we can identify the baseline conditions out there. So we just would like to tell you that the next steps will be providing key findings, hopefully in the early next year, and Yoga's going to talk for a few minutes about the next steps.
Thank you, Debbie. As Debbie said, the next steps for us, we're going to continue with our traffic demand modeling. We're using the latest 2012 SCAD RTB model, and that analysis is ongoing at this point. We're continuing to refine our alternatives, refine our technical, continue with our technical studies, and continue with preliminary engineering until we get these studies optimized. And then at the end of this conclusion of these studies, we'll be releasing, including all of this information, the draft EIS document, which is due spring of 2014. And can I give you a snapshot of the schedule where we are? We are July of 2013, and we got several months more. We can come back with the results, so we can present those information in the draft document. We expect to release this in spring of 2014, and once we receive the comments on the draft document, we're hoping to finalize it in summer of 2015, at which point we expect to have a different alternative selected in the study. Stakeholder outreach activities will be continuous throughout the process as to reach out to the community members within the study area. That concludes my presentation. I'm going to hand this back to Jim.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can bring the lights up, please. I will also thank the technical team for that presentation. It's a lot of information. Clearly, there's a lot of data. We hope that by giving you the handout that you can follow along a little bit more easily. Once again, want to invite you in the back, if you'd like, to come up and join us at some of these tables. We're going to now move into the comment card section of the afternoon. What that means is I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to go ahead and prepare your comment cards. If they're already done, great, you can wave them. Our table monitors are going to circulate. They're going to come, they're going to pick them up. Yep, they're going to pick them up. They're going to do a little bit of sorting, and then they're going to give me some of the key themes, and I'll be asking our technical team as well as some of our additional team members to maybe join us at the table. Questions popped up about ultimately, at the end of the day, once the environmental documentation is done, the public hearings have been held, who makes the final decision at the end of the process on a preferred alternative? Nope. Bring it up, please. Stand.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. On the preferred alternative, the Metro Board will take that up in the spring of next year and make their decision on what they believe is the preferred alternative. And Caltrans will then certify the document. And then at some time in the future, the board will make a decision on funding the project.
Okay. Frank, stay standing. I've got one more for you. Another question popped up about the nature of the public-private partnership opportunity. Why is there at this time what appears to be only the public-private partnership opportunity being evaluated for the freeway tunnel and not the other alternatives?
Well, Metro
just address that.
Right. Metro has looked at the transportation needs in LA County and recognizes there's not enough money to meet all the needs. So the Metro Board had decided to look at where opportunities are that could have created what we call innovative financing or assisting in financing transportation projects. So we looked at a study of all the portfolio of all the transportation projects that we have. We're looking at a study and determine which ones meet what the private sector, the public-private partnership, what they are interested in types of projects. So they have identified a handful of projects that could meet that criteria, and out of that is the freeway alternative is one of those alternatives that potentially could be funded with a P3 delivery method.
All right, so we have a stack, and I'm sure they're still coming in. It was also part of what was asked to us earlier. This is some comments and observations around air quality. We're hoping that maybe our tech team could talk about, and we did talk a little bit about it, but talk more about ventilation, the air quality from the impacts from freeways. What are the particulates that might be released into the air? Can we have a little bit of talking about just those kinds of things, how they're being studied in the EIR-EIS? Okay, who's going to do that?
Okay, I'm going to start talking about air quality first.
Okay.
I know there was an air quality component and a ventilation component. We did talk a little bit about the air quality analysis in the presentation. Just to give some more specifics of the particular types of analyses that will be conducted, there will be a regional analysis that will look at criteria pollutants as well as greenhouse gases. There will be also a local health risk assessment. There'll be a local carbon monoxide hotspot analysis. There'll also be a local particulate hotspot analysis. There's one thing I was going to add, we're going to be dealing with construction impacts associated with not only construction equipment, as well as the hauling of equipment in and out of the area, and in particular with the requirements that are needed for construction of the tunnels. So those are a few of the key analysis areas that will be evaluated in the air quality analysis.
Talk a little bit more about the just the impact from freeways, and some concerns just about freeway drivers, the particulates coming off of cars. Is that part of that analysis?
That's part of the analysis. That'll be part of both the localized health risk assessment as well as the particulate matter hotspot analysis.
Okay. Do I have another stack, you guys?
Jim, there's one other question too. There was, I think Quon asked about the ventilation that should be touched upon a little bit on our presentation today. We are coordinating a lot of the elements of the ventilation design with first the fire marshal and making sure the tunnel schemes that we develop is safe. We are also have coordination meetings with AQMD, Caltrans, air quality expert, associated with the dispersion at the portals. The goal, our design is to use some of the technologies that are used in the world, bring that to this tunnel ventilation, and making sure the emissions meet the necessary air quality standards. So we're still in work in progress, so hopefully we'll be able to present that at a later time once the design is complete.
Okay, thank you. We had previously received a number of concerns, comments regarding the what's being done to absolutely improve the performance of the BRT alternative. Some concerns raised about on-street parking impacts, specifically the businesses along Atlantic and Fair Oaks. How does the study, what will the study be, how will the study be taking this into account, the impact on these businesses and so forth?
Thank you. I'm going to take the question first and pass to Tim Bevan, who's a BRT expert. In terms of enhancing performance, we've done quite a few things, and that includes the feeder service, connecting into the BRT, to provide system connectivity, but along the BRT corridor itself, made a lot of improvements, or providing a lot of improvements over there so we can increase or make it look like more like a rail-like service. So I'm going to invite Tim Bevan now to maybe explain some of the elements that goes into the BRT and what you've done. I think there are a number of things you discussed.
Bullpen slide 51. No, okay.
Go ahead.
Let me explain.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do with bus rapid transit is improve the quality and speed and reliability of transit with this and do as much as we can, similar to light rail, but do it with buses. So we have 7 elements of bus rapid transit that we're working to try to improve, actually showing right here. So we're working on improving the running ways so we can reduce the travel time for those that would use the bus and improve reliability. We're working to improve the station areas. So the quality, if you're still going. Okay, now, got it? Okay, so we're improving the stations and stops so the comfort and convenience for passengers is improved. We have higher quality, new aged vehicles, for example, with 3-door boarding, so faster boarding for passengers. New fare collection technologies for example, street running bus rapid transit fare collection either off board or on board, so you would validate your use of transit as you enter any one of the 3 doors, so it's faster boarding. Using technologies such as transit signal priority to move buses faster through intersection areas, also providing information on when the next bus is, so amount of time to the next bus, improving the service and operations, so we're combining 7062 bus line with BRT, so more frequent every 10 minutes, and then some branding and image making. So those are some of the things we're working on to improve the performance. Key is on this route is to reduce the amount of delays to buses at intersections. That's the greatest amount of delay to buses on the route we're looking at. So we have improvements at intersections. So those are some of the things we're doing there. In terms of the parking effects, during the alternatives analysis phase, we had potentially using outside bus lanes and displacing parking all day long, so we're now reducing that time. We're looking at only using outside bus lanes in the parking lanes in the AM peak and the PM peak, so we're reducing that. And we found a different route in Pasadena and the North Loop that would use streets with less congestion, not requiring the use of parking lanes. So those are some of the things we're doing to reduce the potential parking effects.
Okay. Got a stack of concerns, observations, and issues around construction impacts. Some questions around solar power, energy generation to aid construction of the alternatives. Is that being thought about, just using smart power sources? That was a specific. Another part of the construction potential impacts is, we've spoken to a little bit, but what about the impact to residents and businesses that are going to lose traffic, that are going to lose foot traffic, auto traffic? And then finally, just talk a little bit about how the study will address potential property acquisitions. 3 things: the power sources, construction impact to the residents and businesses from the tunnel work, and then property acquisition. Just what the study is going to be doing, what the EIR, EIS is doing to address these.
That's a pretty full question. That's a pretty full.
Got to throw your curveball every now and again, right?
So I think let me start with the easy one. Solar power. I thought that was a great suggestion. We really haven't talked too much about it, so I think it's taking this. The design team will look into that. The second question about construction impacts. In reality, we are getting into that study right now because we've been focused on refining the alternatives at this time. One of the elements we looked at, I think this came up in previous discussions we had with the stakeholders, is how do we transport excavated material for both the LRT and the freeway tunnel. We've been in dialogue with the owner of a pit in Irvindale, and we're hoping that would be able to take the material that comes out of the site. Nice thing about that is you can use the freeways to transport, as well as from the south end of the site, close to Valley Boulevard. We can also use rail and avoid freeways completely. We need a combination of both. So from a construction standpoint, we're looking at some of the scenarios, and those would be looked at from an air quality and noise impact standpoint, technical studies as well. So plus, in addition to that, the sequence of construction, if there is a detour, any of the impacts, if you need to close a street or a bridge and what that do to the community, all of the elements would be folded into the construction impact study. Is there anything else? What's the third part of the question?
Property acquisition? Could you address
Well, we actually haven't started or looked at that at this point, because our goal has been to minimize the impact of property. So I think whatever we do, I think the business impact, we will have to follow the standard process, and I'm not an expert on right-of-way acquisition and what goes on, so I'll have to refer that back to our expert and maybe see what the normal process is.
And just want to be clear, as far as any property acquisition, Caltrans does need to follow the Uniform Act. It's a federal act that requires them to follow particular procedures for property acquisition. So the purpose at this stage is to identify any permanent acquisitions, whether they're a full acquisition or a partial acquisition. Also, if there's any temporary construction easements that are needed, those need to be identified now, and so that would be part of the process. But as far as the acquisition process, that's an actually federally regulated process that Caltrans follows. Did you want to talk to me about that, Garrett, on that process?
I don't have much to add for that, but Caltrans does follow the Uniform Relocation Assistance Act, and so any properties that are acquired, whoever is existing in that property, whether they're a resident or a business, we assist them with the relocation of their business or residence to find another appropriate place to live or run their business.
Okay. All right, we had some questions that were checked. The box that was checked was environmental justice. Series of concerns and observations that had to do with the decisions when the tunnel, whether the right-of-way for LRT tunnel is above ground versus below ground. And so some observations around, why is the LRT perhaps above ground in East LA? Why isn't it tunneled at that particular part? So if we could just address some of those decisions, maybe that went into that, or how that was, how it came to be, or how it's being studied in the EIR, EIS. Button up.
Okay, with regard to the LRT alternative and why portions are elevated and other portions are underground, there are two basic reasons. One has to do with traffic volumes and available right-of-way. In the portions where the LRT is elevated, it's along streets that have much lower traffic volumes than in the portions where it's underground. For example, along Mednick Avenue, the average daily traffic volume on Mednick Avenue is about 14,000 vehicles. And there's a 100-foot right-of-way on Mednick Avenue. So we have not a lot of traffic and we have a lot of room to work with. Farther north, for example, along Fremont, traffic volumes vary from 40,000 all the way up to 50,000 vehicles a day, so 2 to 3 times the traffic. And the right-of-way width there is like 70 to 80 feet, it varies. So we have a lot more traffic and a lot less room, so there isn't physically space to put an LRT without having severe traffic impacts. The other reason is construction impacts. The northern portion, starting by the Mission Road and the UPRR, the railroad there. Caltrans owns the right-of-way. There's the end of the 710. There's a large open space where we can dig a large pit to where the end of the right-of-way, where the gold. where this, right in that, there's a little blue speck you can see between the kind of the orange and the purple. That would be the launch pit for the tunnel boring machine. Caltrans has a lot of unoccupied land there where we can excavate the pit, and the TBM, the tunnel boring machine, can start excavating, and the earth can be removed there and trucked away directly onto the freeway without having a lot of community impacts. In the portion to the south, through south of the 10 in that area, where we leave the 710 right away, basically. There isn't a large available space to launch a TBM. You need about minimum 3 acres, preferably more, for that activity. So we would need to find a site that we could use to launch the tunnel boring machine. That would most likely require property acquisition, because we've looked around and are not aware of any suitable sites near the alignment that would do that. And also, even if we were to find a site in that segment, we would then be faced with hauling the extracted material away from that site. Again, when we're at the northern portion of the 710 stub at Valley, we can haul it right onto the freeway. If we're down in the southern portion, any route we take, any route that material is going to take, is going to have to go on local streets in order to get to a freeway to leave the area.
Okay. Good. All right, we got a big stack about the freeway and the tunnel, and lots of questions and observations, not so much questions, observations and concerns that we need to address. First one is just about tunnels and trucks, and what is going to be studied in terms of the truck use of the tunnel, numbers of trucks. I mean, is this part of the analysis? Can we speak a little bit about just tunnels and trucks? Maybe just identify yourself. Click. Button up.
Lauren Bloomberg, CH2M Hill. I'm leading the traffic analysis for the project. Just in general, our approach to the truck on the freeways and really on all the streets is with what's called a travel demand model, which is a computerized model that predicts the traffic in the whole region, and we can look at with or without alternatives, so the tunnel and also the transit alternatives. Specific to the trucks, what we're doing is our base alternative allows the trucks to use the same roads that vehicles would use. But we also have a series of variations, and Yoga showed that slide earlier, a series of variations on the tunnel alternatives that would look at not allowing trucks in the tunnel. So that alternative would have trucks on mostly existing freeways, but other roads as well. So the root of the analysis there is to understand what the difference in operations would be on the freeway with and without truck prohibitions in the tunnel.
Stay standing just for a second, Lauren. I got two other quick questions. Go ahead.
One, I wanted to add to the point in terms of trucks. We will not be allowing any vehicles or trucks that carries flammable materials. So just want to make that's clear.
Some questions around, or comments and observations around alignment. You know, the observation that the tunnel itself does not look like it's straight. Does that pose any problems? How will that be analyzed? Also related to that, other examples of other tunnels that are currently being built or that have been built that we can look to, just as examples of something that's similar to what it might happen here. So 2 points, one about the alignment and one about just, can we look to other examples within the United States, outside the United States?
So far as the alignment goes, for the freeway tunnel, we have 2 fixed points. There's one in the south, that's at the existing stub. That's just south of Valley, at Valley Boulevard, and the other stub is to the north by California. So from a highway design point of view, we follow the freeway design standards, the highway design manual from Caltrans. And so we just developed the horizontal geometry, basically just because the south stub area is further to the west than the existing stub to the north. So we're following Caltrans highway design standards there. The TBMs are quite sophisticated. There's no issues with it following a curvilinear alignment. These curves are fairly flat. The other question was on, I think it was for, other examples of other tunnels. A very similar tunnel that's being constructed as we speak is the Alaskan Way Tunnel. It's in Seattle, Washington. They just had their tunnel boring machine built, and they're about to launch it. So it's a very similar diameter tunnel that's being used there. So we're basically using some proven technology with our tunnel design.
On the tunnels, Tom, we talked a little bit in the presentation just about access, about the health impacts. Some concerns raised just around the health impacts, the air quality actually inside the tunnel itself. Just briefly on that, because I think we talked a little bit about it. Also escape plans and safety in general inside the tunnels.
The first question is air quality inside the tunnel.
Potential health impacts on somebody's.
From the ventilation standpoint, during normal operation, we're not correctly, if the velocity of the vehicle is more than 15 or 20 miles per hour, the vehicle's flow or the speed itself, as long as it's a continuous flow through the tunnel, you would have sufficient flow to keep the air quality to meet the necessary standards. We do have monitoring inside the tunnel, which is continuous monitoring, and in case the standards do get below, we'll have aided by fan or jet fans, which would increase the pressure and make sure the standards, the air quality meets the necessary standards. So during normal operation, the air quality into the tunnel will be maintained to the level required by the NFPA or National Fire Protection Agency's standards and the air quality standards established for tunnels of similar nature. And in terms of the emergency, I think there was a question about is there an egress there are walkways on each level, whether it's a single bore or a dual bore, and those walkways are separated from the travel way by a fire-protected wall with a 2-hour fire rating. And I think in case of an emergency, there'll be variable message signs that would direct those inside the tunnel to exit through these doors, which are spaced about 500-600 feet, 650 feet, I believe, apart, and then direct them inside the tunnel, where there'll be fresh air inside the tunnel and in a pressurized condition, and will be safe for 2 hours. Either they could walk to the exit, or they can wait for an emergency personnel to come and provide an aid to get to a safe location. And this will be a similar in what's applied in the Alaskan Way Tunnel as well.
Last question around tunnels, and it came up a couple times, both prior and this evening. Not clear in the presentation in terms of the analysis on both the single and the double bore. Will both of those tunnels in the analysis have tolls? Will there be tolls for both? Will that be studied? Is that the impact of that?
Well, I think at this point we are considering both single and dual bore for tolling scenario for both. And I think once our traffic demand modeling is completed and we do a revenue forecast, we would probably be able to decide which of those would be the most suitable. But I'm going to have Lauren probably expand on that.
Just one point to add that we do know from our preliminary analysis that the demand for a single bore tunnel, if it was not tolled, would exceed the capacity of a single bore. So that's one scenario we will not study, but we'll study tolls on both the single bore and the double bore, and then with 2 bores we'll also study a free scenario where there's no tolls at all.
Good. Thank you very much. So again, just to reiterate, we've got a lot of very specific questions and comments that we are now going to take and deliver directly to the technical team so that they can use that and be more specific in some of their additional analysis. What I'd like to do now, first of all, is thank our our esteemed group of technical types who helped us with this. Thank you very much. I really appreciate everybody's contributions. What I want to do now is the last 15 minutes or so is I'm going to work through the tables. We're going to go to each table and ask for one person who might have a 1 minute observation or comment. It won't be responded to, but it's just an opportunity to provide yet another vehicle for community input at this level. And so I'm going to start with the table right in front of me. And again, I'm going to hold on to the mic. Please don't take the mic. We have a timer. Danny, you going to help me with the timer? Just talk amongst ourselves just for a second while we get ready. We're going to do this for about 15 minutes and then we're going to wrap up just with some closing comments and be out of here at 8 o'clock. We can't, the contractual requirements for this evening, we have to close up. I appreciate that. Thanks. Okay, thanks. Here we are. Just a sec, please. Yeah, I'm just going to watch my keep going, get it going. Here we go. First person, you've got 1 minute, starting now. I'll hold the mic, sorry.
Okay, my name is Scott Johnson. I'm representing the LA 32 Neighborhood Council Land Use Committee. It would behoove everybody here tonight to request under the California Public Records Act complete documentation of this meeting because of last few minutes I think we kind of there were a lot of comments on the tunnel, but I would like to have a true gauge of the public sentiment that were submitted on these comment cards here this evening. And for LA 32, I would like to have a complete set of documentation under the California Public Records Act so we can take that back to our committee meeting and then work our way through our committee process and then to the general committee and then ultimately probably have another community town hall to have the community come back in and we get close to the final timeline here submitted here as I'm shown here tonight to make sure that the community of LA 32, their viewpoints is fully represented within the final EIR document. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, comment at this table here. I'm coming over. Oh, you did? Okay.
I was just curious about the cost analysis. I didn't see it for each of the alternatives and also the duration of the project, how long each one was going to take. Additionally, I believe the technical study is going to be very, very intense and robust. Will we get an opportunity to see that or will it come out with the draft EIR?
Okay, that's a good question. We need to address that maybe as our sum up. Go ahead. Okay.
Hi.
Oh,
Sorry.
pardon me.
I'm Susan from La Crescenta, and I'm here because this is a regional issue. I want to address the SCAG RTP. It was referenced 3 times in your presentations. I've read the SCAG RTP, especially the arterials and highways section and goods movement section. And that particular study does call the SR 710 project a toll project. It also calls it a tunnel project. So that leads me to believe there might be some bias in the study towards following the SCAG model.
30 seconds. On your phone.
Yeah, following the SCAG model and saying that it's a toll tunnel. One more time?
Yeah, we do 20 seconds.
Okay. I also want to address the ADA issue. The only mention in the AA report for ADA is a 3.5 foot wide walkway for ADA compliance. So how are the people going to walk out of the tunnel that's 200 feet, well, 150 feet underground with a 4% grade at 4.9 miles long?
Thank you very much. Very valid concerns. Anybody at this table? Okay. There's not going to be answers, I'm sorry. Go ahead. A lot of these, just to be clear, a lot of this information is being studied as a part of the analysis, so we don't have all this information available this evening. Anybody from this table? Okay.
My name's John Kraft. I'm with the Vanguardian News Services for Watchdog Group. I noticed something that maybe it's my observation. What I saw, there was nothing in the EIR presented as of today that posed a showstopper for any of the alternatives. Another comment I have, I travel Atlantic Boulevard. It's already a dead stop there. Putting more on, I don't know how you're going to do it. And I can say this because I'm living in Costa Rica. It's a surprise to a lot of people about the Alhambra busway. I think you ought to study. One more comment about the fast track. Get rid of it.
Okay. Coming over here. Great.
I am in agreement to relocate. However, I am relocated to a house that is paid for in order to move from where I live now. Because the metro company and all the builders, they're gonna make money, but I'm not gonna be making any profits or anything. I'm just gonna be relocated. If they relocate me, it has to be in a property that is being paid for. And then I will convince my neighbors to do so, to relocate.
Thank you. Okay, over here. Thank you. Oh, hold on. That's okay.
Hello, my name is Sandra Arias. I'm an advocate in East Los Angeles, the Monterey community. My concern is, this is LRX4X Kern, and I believe it's Netnick. This is the fourth. And I would like to know if there's going to have eminent domain for the right for the governor to remove property or businesses, and if so, have they decided? Because the community of Maravilla community in East LA, we opposed it. We do not want one. We already have the gold line. They already put a 710 freeway. They took many homes from our community. They put a 60. They took many homes. They took our park. So we opposed the light rail transit.
10 seconds. Okay, thank you very much. All right, I'm going to move this way, try to do a quick little loop. We still have time. Everybody's abiding by the minute. Anybody here? Okay, I'll come into you, sir. Here we go.
My name is Peter Arona. I live in El Sereno on Loa and Allen, and I'm officially inviting all the officials and all the people that are working on this job, especially when they start the tunnel and excavating dirt, to come once a month to visit me. We'll have a little party, maybe have some tea. You could bring your family. We could play pin the tail on the donkey. And they just built a new playground down the street, a block away from me, and you could have your children and grandchildren play there for that week, for that Sunday. And I'll be there with you guys, and you guys can smell that clean air, okay, and breathe in all that debris and dirt that's going to be excavated for years. And I'm just asking for you guys to come one Sunday a month. So I'm doing that officially. And believe me, I don't know what kind of host I'll be, but you're welcome to my house.
Thank you. Come right down this aisle here, okay? Thank you.
John Bednarski, resident of Altadena. I do believe this is a regional issue, and I think it's important that people that travel through that corridor like I do every day, north to south, south to north, come out to support this project. I think in the last 25 years, we've seen Caltrans and Metro make considerable concessions to local communities, going from an open-cut freeway to a cut and cover, and now with the recent evolutions in tunneling technologies, they're able to produce this project with little impact to the local communities. Again, I just voice my support for this program. Thank you.
Anybody here? Okay. I've got to come back one second.
My name is Mel Marquez. I've been a resident here of El Sereno for the last 38 years. I'm also a former concerned neighbors of El Sereno. And I'll tell you what, I got to say this. Messina from Alhambra, she's a mayor. She claims this tunnel is going to take 2 years to build. This is the kind of bullshit that San Gabriel Valley has been hearing. The tunnel is not going to resolve the traffic that they have in their streets. It's just going to create a bigger problem. They got 190,000 cars trying to enter this tunnel with a toll. How many people are going to pay the toll? Where are these people that are not using the tunnel going? So, you know what? San Gabriel Valley's got to get back into the swing. Thanks.
Good. Thank you. Here you are. I'll hold on to it.
My name is Janet. I live in Alhambra, and I'm definitely against this tunnel. It's not the solution. For example, the trucks that have the big containers on them are driving on the 710 freeway that come up from the ports. The tunnel won't solve that. They just said that, many of these trucks won't even be in a tunnel. And if they do go in, they're going to pay a toll, and all of the goods that we buy will cost more. The tunnel will not solve a problem for commuters. This gentleman over here just said that the communities from north to south wanted this, and it's not true. Some people do, but certainly not the communities. If you look at how many are now joining in support of alternatives, you'll see that the majority do not want it. And many of us in Alhambra do not agree with our city council selling out our neighborhoods right adjacent to where this construction is.
10 seconds. Thank you. Anybody here? Okay. Anybody here? This table, anyone here? Anybody here? Okay. Oh, okay, one person, and I'll come back. We have time. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Amy. I'm a student from Cal State Los Angeles, and as a mechanical engineering student who practically reads textbooks built by engineers for a living, I'm a little concerned when I look at your timeline and I see you only have 2 months to circulate all of your documents or your EIR, and also, is that enough time for them to get them, to read them, and to comprehend them? That's my concern.
Over here, is there?
Hi, I'm Esmeralda, resident of Sereno. My greatest concern with your hope for this tunnel is how this big machine that's going to make it is going to travel through LA to get to our communities to make this big hole in the ground. How that dirt is going to be transported back out, and all the work that it's going to take to remove that big machine back out of our communities. I hope that your analysis will take into account the commotion, the distress of our communities with that, just with starting the tunnel. Thank you.
Okay. We're going to head back to the front, and we have time for a couple more comments, so I do want to wrap up. Anybody here? Okay.
Dr. Tom Williams, El Sereno, 30 years. Major issue. What are the numbers? Well, how can you carry freight on an LRT or BRT, or putting it into the concept of the tunnel? You've stated 180,000 vehicles a day. How can you compare 180,000 vehicles a day to a BRT or an LRT? Are you going to have equivalent of, say, 200,000 people taking the BRT or the LRT north-south through this same corridor? That is, assuming that some cars of the 180 are going to have a few additional people. But you're not comparing consistently between BRT, LRT, and the tunnel. You're swaying it to the tunnel.
Okay. Oh, somebody back here who has the chance. I mean, sitting at one of the tables, they come back here. This will be the last comment, I think, tonight. And then again, staff will be collecting those comment cards. If you still have those, let's be sure that the table monitors are ready to collect any more of those note cards.
Yes, my name is George Rivera Jr. I represent the LA32 Neighborhood Council Education Committee, and I'm quite concerned about this tunnel situation. I don't know if you're aware of, this past weekend, we had a real tragedy in our community, Legion Park, the gasoline tank truck that just fell over, and I don't know if you're aware of that situation right now. They're still fixing the tunnel, and I hope another situation doesn't arrive like this. This is the second time that this has happened, tunnel in our community. Just want to let you know that. Okay.
Last comment. Very, very important. We do not want MTA in East LA. That's it. Okay.
All right, so I think what we're going to do, again, table monitors, make one last sweep through, please, and collect the comment cards. I have the majority of them up here. I would like to be sure that we get all of this captured and to the team. We want to thank you for coming out this evening. We know this is, for many of you, difficult issues to be discussing, but we hope that these kinds of sessions are intended to provide information, to give you some level of input so that we can continue to evolve the refinements to the alternatives as we go forward. So we thank you for coming, we appreciate your time, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.